Hello and welcome to This Naked Chat, a podcast where six friends from different walks of life come together for honest, unscripted conversations about living alcohol-free and everything that comes with it. We all met at a live event hosted by Annie Grace of This Naked Mind in March of 2024. What started as a mastermind group with the six of us and Annie turned into some really deep friendships, filled with connection, tough conversations, and a lot of laughter. And after a year of growing and learning together, we realized that these conversations might help more than just us. So here we are, no scripts, just real talk. We are incredibly grateful to Annie and This Naked Mind for helping us get this off the ground and for the impact that her work has had on each of our lives. I am Brian, and I am joined by Kori, Agnes, Judi, Jenie, and Sammie. Let's dive in. Well, here we go. There's Hat. I got my 2.0s on.
It's important to have Hat.
Oh boy.
You always do that.
I do. Every time I read one, I'm like, oh no. This is a great one. I think this is a great one. Adult friendships. That's all it says.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this over breakfast yesterday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What was the topic? Or not the topic. That is the topic, but
the context.
The context was out of town friend was here visiting from Austin, Texas, and he is pushing 70. Has a longtime partner who's 10 years younger, and he has worked his entire career as a freelance artist, and most of it living in the Bay Area where he grew up. And he had kind of a built-in community of friendships in different artist segments because he does all different kinds of art. And then he and his partner moved to Austin, where they've been maybe 5 years-ish. And he was talking yesterday with Peter and I over breakfast about how challenging it has been to find adult friendship in Austin, and he's not like a barfly. He's not, but it's just been challenging for him. And the artist community there is very closed, and so he's having a hard time breaking in as the outsider. And apparently, when he lived in the Bay Area, at a point, he and his partner Jen had a nice backyard, and they converted it basically to like their little own private beer garden, and set up tables and had art supplies available. And so people could come and hang out and meet others and, do art. So he was trying to conceive of a way he could do that in Austin until he realized that there's a beer garden on every corner around where their house is. So he's like, yeah, well, that's not going to work. And he was just talking about it, he has friends that he have been in his life for decades, but he doesn't have anyone local to where he lives now. And he was just talking about how challenging that is. And Peter and I are both such enormous wallflowers that when we moved here, if we hadn't opened a coffee shop on the second day we lived here, where the model was that people were coming to us, 12 years later, we'd still know like 3 people because it's just not our nature to go out and seek that. But we had it easy in retrospect because they all came to us. And yeah, so it's hard finding friendships as an adult. And then you throw alcohol-free into that equation, and the challenge is even greater, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, this topic is funny because I literally just joined a group this it's a small business called Real Roots, and the whole thing of it is to help women find friends.
Love it.
Like that.
Wow.
That is literally the model. And so they.
Why is it just women? Damn it!
I know. But yeah, that's that. I mean,
That's
that
amazing.
to me speaks to how challenging. Like, this is a real thing, you know, and so, and it's not it's not just a few of us that are experiencing that. Like, it's widespread enough that somebody thought, hey, there's a business here to like help women connect. So I went to like one meeting. We had like the kind of the introductory thing, and now we start off like a 6-week thing where once a week the group gets together, and the whole idea is that, yeah, out of that 6 weeks, you know, you should be able to find at least one friend out of that. And so they do like these you know, kind of pointed exercises that are meant to help you like get to know somebody quickly and see, you know, what kind of connection. And they do some like pre-screening, like, you know, for age group, and, you know, what do you have kids, and if so, what stages are they in, and, you know, to try to help you to foster that connection sooner rather than weeks.
Kori, is it
weeks.
virtual or in person?
No, it's in person. Yeah,
I love
that's
that,
kind of
yeah.
the thing, I think, is
That's
like
so cool.
and just what you were talking about with your friend, like I have all of you, right? And I have other friends. They're all over the freaking country. So it's like, it's not that I don't have connections, but you don't have that, like, there's something to somebody sitting in front of you. You know, I don't know that I know what it is, but for sure. And I think we've all experienced it. Like when we've had our get togethers, you know, like that sense of connection when we're like physically with each other in each other's presence. And why, you know, we were just talking a few days ago about like, hey, let's try to get together again, because there's something so unique about that and something so connecting. But yeah, it's a deal. It's a real deal.
Well, it's particularly to Jenny's point as well. Now, when you throw the alcohol piece in with it, and to find the alcohol free, I mean, I know from my history working long time with people with opiate dependence, when they get out of those circles, they isolate. And why do they isolate? Because there's nobody around. They don't know how to break into those circles. A, they can't say who they really are, and B, who they really are, because you have that stigma. Oh, you are a heroin user, or some nonsense, you know, and never mind that, oh, bravo, welcome, you know, good for you. You have that against you. And then you just have social skill deficit, because depending on your history and how long of a user you've been, and the same with people, those of us who drank a lot, right? I mean, depending on the length of our history, we lose that comfort in being with one another because we've numbed it out for so long. And it's a real thing. I agree. I haven't drank for many years, and it's still a real thing for me. And as we mature, it can be even more difficult, because I don't want to go sit with the old ladies down at the knitting club. God bless them, but that's not who I am. I want to get in a kayak and go somewhere, you know? And yeah.
I've been listening. This has been like this whole topic of not really adult friendships, probably more like seeking community, finding community. Loneliness has been like on my mind for the past probably 5 years. And NPR is actually doing the series 1A, the kind of podcast, is doing something they call In Good Company. It's a series where they're kind of exploring this, like what people, I guess it's termed like this loneliness pandemic or loneliness epidemic is this whole series of like, all right. And you're seeing this, like to your guys' point, with social media was almost meant to fill in this gap, right? But since they're external, they're not in person, not enough people anymore are meeting in person. So they're losing these friendships over time, these real, actual social connections, which is like one of the key pillars of health, you know, is kind of meaningful connection. And man, I mean, I just got out of my therapy session where we discuss this every week for me. I mean, it's like trying to go find places where you feel supported, where you feel like you belong. And there's just, you know, they exist. And And I can speak, I think churches do a great job of it, of creating community. Unfortunately, though, like bars are one, especially for men. There's not that many places. Country clubs, I noticed. I had conversations with people in this golf tournament I was at, and several of them were like, I didn't know I needed this, but this is kind of where I found some of my people. And man,
but that's kind of what's key, right, Brian? Like you said, the golf clubs and stuff. I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, there's Habitat for Humanity. What are your skills? What are your interests? And to me, social skill building or rebuilding, if you will, is a whole bunch easier if there's a focus that you all have in general. Probably. That you all, like, oh, I like to help build houses, or I like to volunteer at the soup kitchen, or wherever it might be that you have some interests. And then you're not put in that spot of, oh, I'm here because I'm supposed to find a friend. I mean, how awkward is that? I'm supposed to find a friend and I don't like any of you people. Yeah. How awkward is that, right? I mean, yeah.
The thing, there's also like this nuance to those, like you were talking about those places, and like in having social skills or relearning social skills is like, I found that plenty of times I can be in those environments where, I'm around people and certainly I'm interacting with them, but for whatever reason, I'm sure there were different reasons, I still felt out. I still felt like alone. I still felt way different. I still felt like not connected to these people. I mean, even if like in that, like the, volunteer situation, like theoretically we're all doing something good, and definitely I've been in those situations, but it's like, and yet I still don't get these people and they don't get me, and it feels really weird. And I like there's still something to that, like finding, like, one, I think it's the whole like being okay with yourself, and I'm sure for many years that was part, the huge part of the problem. And then, but then also just finding your people, even though, like it's theoretically that you should like be amongst your people, and yet sometimes you're just not, for whatever reason. I don't know. It's a harder thing to do than maybe you give it credit for, sure. Sometimes. Yeah.
That's what. Sorry.
Go ahead, Judi.
That might be why it's easier too. Like, we have so many friends from the bar. Well, yeah, because we numb out all that really hard stuff. So yeah, we're going to find our people because it's like, well, I don't like the band. We'll have another beer. They sound better. Well, if you don't like the person in front of you, have another cocktail, and all of a sudden you're best friends, right? I mean,
or just be on your phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you used the term, who are your people? I used earlier today, I said something like, I didn't feel like the people in this tournament like were my people. It's a different group, and I was asked then in return, well, who are your people? And like the way that I answered that, and this goes deeper than most, is like, but you've seen it in like, what works in like a health community and stuff like that, is like somewhere where you feel like supported and more uplifted, maybe than so like it's a positive environment of everyone's there. You can, and honest to God, like, we talk about alcohol, AA, this is a big piece of it, right? That community of people that come together helps, and I think that's what it is for me, is like, and some of mine, to your point, Kori, of like doing that inside work, goes back to like, maybe I didn't have that growing up from, say, my dad, of actually saying out loud, I support you, and in whatever you do. And so now I'm searching for it. But I think finding or surrounding yourself with people, and I think you guys, that's kind of what we found with this group, is like unconditionally support,
right.
And
like there's even that is like a new, for me anyway, is kind of a nuanced thing. Like cheerleading for the sake of cheerleading
sure.
is not satisfying, right? Like there's nothing, I hate that. But like when you feel like somebody actually sees you and they're still supporting you, that's where the connection comes in.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
found also, and this also came up yesterday because, 2-hour breakfast with someone we haven't seen in 3 years, and there was no what I call demographic conversation. There was no cocktail party talk. I mean, we were talking about the sources of creativity and how it relates in famous and not famous cases with mental illness because of this conference I went to. But I mean, all three of us were so engaged in that. And then we were talking about the importance of relationships in person. And so I think an additional nuance for me is it's exhausting to start a friendship with someone. For me, it's exhausting when we start with, the demographic facts about you or I mean, it feels like dating all over again in the most miserable, horrible way. And I just want, at this point in my life, it's boring. And I have finally learned I prefer to surround myself with people with whom I can dive into something. And I mean, I'll never forget the first morning at the TNM live event in Tampa. I met my husband outside briefly during a break because I lost my phone. And I looked at him right in the eye with tears in my eyes and said, I have found my tribe. These are my people. Because there was no, and granted, of course, because of the content and all of it, we were all diving right into shit, right? But there was just a vibe in the room too. There was an energy current that just was so synergistic. And it, I find that with people in person too, you can tell when there's something between you. And if there's not, that's okay too. But it just, yeah, that deeper conversation, which also sounds really superficial, but that deeper conversation is another level of nuance for me.
This episode is sponsored by The Path by This Naked Mind. It's a year-long program that combines expert guidance, daily support, and a connected community to help you take back control of your drinking so that you can wake up without regret, trust yourself again, and live a life that doesn't revolve around alcohol. Unlike the programs that focus on your behavior alone, The Path helps you eliminate the desire to drink using science-backed content, world-class coaching, and a compassionate community that really, truly gets it. So you can feel confident and in control of your relationship with alcohol without shame, without rules, and without missing out on the things that matter most. And in 2025, support is more accessible than ever before with live online coaching calls every hour on the hour from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Saturday. No matter where you are in the world or what your day looks like, support is always there, right in your back pocket. Learn more and start your path to freedom at nakedmindpath.com.
Amen to that.
Yeah, same.
I'm sick of small talk and chit-chat.
Well, and surface meaning nothing just because. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like for me. Like bars felt like that, and then this kind of outing, you'd play with a different group every day. And to your point, Jenie, the conversation started with, "What do you do? Where'd you go to school?" And I'm like, "What does any of this mean?" Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's hard because you can't it's tough to, I guess, just meet someone new and open with that maybe. So that's why I love that group that you're in, Kori, that they kind of set it up for you. Because I mean, where else do you find something like that?
Yeah.
You know,
there was none of the what do you do? I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but that was not like the thing. I feel like everybody asked that question to size everybody up, well, what do you do? How much money do you have?
Right.
Where did you go to school? I don't know.
It's like, what does it matter? Who
I
cares?
know.
I'm here as a person,
right?
Looking to make friends with a person.
Yeah.
All the rest of it is just stuff.
I know.
I think but Jenny, to your point, I think that was the beauty of Tampa, that there was such diversity in that room, yet everybody was just there to rejoice in one way or another, or to learn something new, or because all the rest of it was just surface stuff. Who cares? Who cares how much money you have? Who cares how much this, how much that? The fact of the matter is, we share a history in the scheme of things. We share a history, and that makes us just cool because here we are. We survived that. And I mean, here you go, right?
Well, and that everybody was there, even despite whatever history, like everybody was there because they're interested in going deeper. They're interested in learning more about themselves and other people. And it that definitely set kind of a level playing field of like, we're all interested in this. So it doesn't, I think that helped with vulnerability too. Like sometimes, when you want to go deep, like people just think you're a weirdo, and so we were like, hey, we're all the weirdos, right? There was like a couple hundred weirdos in a room, and we were all interested in like, what weird things our brain does.
Where else? So Jenny mentioned a coffee shop, which I think is one of another, like, what would you call like a third place, right? I think is what they do it, like outside of your home, outside of your work. Where is another place that you can go?
Well, the gym,
right,
is another
church, gym, coffee shops.
For me, it was doing theater. Honestly,
for sure.
Theater's a great place.
For
Community theater's a great place for that.
Because you have to be vulnerable if you're going to be any good at it. And Brian, you know this from improv too, and Judi, it's a lot to be that emotionally available to someone you don't know while playing another character. That's hard. But then if the project goes well, you're connected forever after that. And that's been a huge help to me.
Well, and also with community theater, it's all about building everybody up.
Yep.
Because like when you're out there and you're not a dancer and the choreographer says, oh, by the way, Judi, and Judi says, oh, by the way, you're going to pick me up off the floor. But then they say, well, kudos for you for trying. You know what I mean? So everybody's because the end product reflects everybody. So everybody's all about lifting everybody up. And that's the key, isn't it? Is lifting everybody up.
Yep.
Bars are hard because who cares about lifting anybody up?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those interesting pieces of, like, I think they tell people to, like, and this might be on the dating side of things, to like take improv classes and things like that, meet new people. And Judi, that's probably to your point of like getting more uncomfortable doing something and that's new and scary and fun. But you'll find with those groups, like I'm in one now that we've been together for, several years, and we get better as the trust builds, to your point, right? Like as we get to know each other better, then the trust on stage builds, and it becomes just more of a, I'm playing with my friends, as the friendships deepen. So there's some powerful hidden benefits back in there too, to your point.
Well, and you have that in an improv, you have to have a safety net, to be able to actually capital P play. There has to be that
trust,
confidence and trust that there is the other person or persons are going to be there to catch you. And
and that
amazing.
It's okay. Like no matter what you do, it's okay, Your question about third places, though, I've also been interested in this question for a long time, and I started and church, seems like an obvious one and probably has been that place for a lot of people for so long, but for lots of reasons, organized religion is kind of, the participation in organized religion has been declining. And so I got interested in this idea, and I started looking at secular places, that people gather. And there is kind of this movement of, I'm sure there's a better word that people use but I'm going to call it secular church, because of what we're just talking about. Like people still want that connection. However, for whatever reason, their relationship with organized religion didn't go well, or it just never resonated with them, or whatever. And so, I'm seeing this like all over the world, where people are establishing these communities and sometimes actual physical places. They have bought a building or whatever, and they have these, they maybe have a Sunday gathering, but they'll have things all through the week, book clubs and all kinds of stuff where it's just meant to be a space for people to get together and be able to talk to each other and connect over different topics. And so there's kind of this, this whole movement afoot to address exactly what we're talking about, this like lack of connection, whether it's, the business model of like, actually trying to like purposely trying to get people to make friends, all the way to, just having this like gathering space for people to make connection, through whatever topic or.
I love that.
We have that here, the libraries, often because it's so small town, the libraries will open up and have community hours, if you will, so that people can just go in. Like if I wanted to go in and do a talk or whatever, then I can just go and use the library. It doesn't cost me anything. Yeah, and I can advertise it. There's like what we call a listserv, and you can put all those things on that. And if you're interested, you go. And if you're not interested, you don't. Yeah. But even those sometimes are hard, depending on stuff.
Because some people show up, they have an axe to grind or whatever, instead of just being interested in community and connection. Yeah.
Right. It's not all lift you up kind of stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I've been trying to find this, like what's been working maybe for you guys, like adult friendships. I mean, I think we had some great examples we already shared, but
I mean, I think even for the, like, I mean, I think it's a relevant question. Even, we're talking about in real life or in-person connection, but I've found that even with my friends that are, all over the country, with you guys, we have time set up, right? So we're talking at least once a week. And I found I have to do that with my other friends too. I have to say, dang it, we suck at this. We're not staying connected. Yeah, we like send each other a meme or something every once in a while, but we're not really, staying connected. So, okay, how are we going to do this? So we set up time and say, all right, every month, this is the time that we're going to talk. Like, I feel like the less in person it is, like the more purposeful you have to be to make sure that it actually, happens.
That's what I was going to say is I think my reminder is it takes a lot more effort as an adult because life gets lifey and there's always something. And so people get put on hold. And I have to make everything Kori said, the conscious effort, both in person, but also the virtual friends.
I think too, we sometimes, I know this changed for me. I still don't 100% believe it, but they say like, you don't really need that many good friends. You need it's a handful. And I sometimes forget that part of like, to your guys' point of if you tend to those close ones, you're going to be good. And sometimes I feel like, no, I just need more. So I always feel it, but it's like, if I probably had the right conversations and set them up, like you're talking about, because there's some people I only hear from or I only reach out to when I'm feeling something, right? Like, hey, I'm struggling or they're struggling. I'm like, that should be an ongoing conversation, of like, so we can kind of see it in each other. So yeah, tend to your existing, I guess, is a good one.
I like that. Time
for Judi to send us home with the most powerful message ever that's ever been said.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Ready? Drum. Relationships are hard.
Yeah.
Period. Whether you're married to the person or you're roommates with the person or it's your family of origin person's, hard. And then when you say, oh, I got to get outside myself and go make friends, that's so much work and scary. And if you're not caught up to where you hoped you were, I mean, how many people say, I don't like those people. I don't know. There's so much involved with who you are to bring yourself out there. So much involved. So if you can do community theater, go do it because you don't have to talk about anything else because you're here just to be whoever that's supposed to be. And that can happen. if you like organized churchy stuff, especially if you're a mom or a family with small kids and stuff, that's where you can find people who can relate to your situation. Because if you got 4 kids and somebody else has got 3 kids, well, you can commiserate. I mean, but it takes a lot of work and effort. I know I'm on my own, and it's like, wow, are you kidding me? I hate people, but I don't. No, but I don't hate people. I love people, but it's what I hate is the effort it takes.
It's hard, yeah.
But if we don't, our mental health is going to suffer, which will make our physical health suffer. We're screwed if we don't. We're supposed to be together.
I agree.
Yep. Otherwise, we'd all live on the very edge of the world like Jenny does.
Mm-hmm. With cheap lobster, though, so
with cheap lobster.
Very. $8 a pound.
You guys are the best.
Have a great week.
Have a good week. Hey, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If something we said resonated, made you laugh, or made you think, we'd love it if you share it with someone who might need it too. And if you're curious about going alcohol-free or just ready to feel more connected to yourself, check out This Naked Mind. Annie's work brought us all together, and we're so grateful for the impact it's had. On that note, a big thank you to Annie Grace and This Naked Mind for making this podcast possible. We'll see you next time on This Naked Chat.